It's your boy Matt here. I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell you the kind of life which I enjoy living. I don't get to live the life I want as much as I want. Really, a lot of the opportunities which I should have been stolen from me. Much of that's been done by shit eaters who are, have an authoritarian disposition. You may have noticed I don't have a lot of respect for the police. That disdain for the police is very well earned. Fuck them, seriously. But I'm going to tell a story because, I famously had this quite wild trip to Thailand a few years ago, and I've had a lot of wild experiences in Australia. I'm attracted to chaos. I'm good at managing it, and I like being in hectic situations. It makes me very excited. So I'm in Thailand. I wanted to learn Muay Thai. I backpacked the country. Then I was in a city called Pattaya. Sometimes I struggle with the pronunciation. It's a little bit east of Bangkok, I think. Or is it west? No, I think it's east of Bangkok. Around 2-hour drive. And either way, I say to a gentleman on a motorcycle taxi, I want to see this Muay Thai fight. I was told it was going down. He takes me to the stadium, turns out it's not on there. So he takes me to this other place, because I think he was just trying to be a good tour guide, really. These Thai people, they're gentlemen. I quite like them. There's a lot of cultural similarities between them and us. They've got that similar kind of... often Australians have this kind of mateship community orientation. A lot of Thai people have a similar attitude. I quite like their culture, and I think there's a significant amount of overlap between us. Getting back to the story, I go to this stadium. I end up paying like $40 or $50 for a ticket, and to me that's actually a fair amount of money in Thailand. The fight, when the thing starts, there's this gay guy who takes me effeminately by the hand and leads me through and cuts me in line because everyone queues up at the door, but apparently I paid for like the premium experience or something. No one's told me what's going on. And either way, I'm the only white guy there, and he plonks me down in this private leather booth, and then everyone else walks in. They all sit down. Then he starts addressing the stadium, and he addresses 3 sides of the stadium in Thai and just me in English. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then he goes up to me, walks up to my stand, leads me down to the ring, and chucks me a set of boxing gloves. And I'm kind of like, dude, what the fuck is going on? What is this? Either way, I put them on. I awkwardly clamber into the ring, and there's this bloke who's got these pads, and it's like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. We're practicing punching and kicking, and this is like, you go to SeaWorld, you get to pat the dolphins. This was a thing where you get to do pad work with the Muay Thai fighters, and it was in front of everyone in the stadium, and that's what I paid for. That was interesting. So I did some punches and kicks. I have some training, but I'm pretty uncoordinated. I'm not a natural athlete, and at this time I hadn't really done any training in striking, although I had done some work with MMA, and I was a bit confused about the rules for Muay Thai. But either way, we do some punches and kicks. We practice knees, and we're figuring it out. And I accidentally knock him out. My knee, it slips off the pad, it hits him in the face. I break open his face and my knee at the same time. It was a pretty impressive hit. And I think it was because he wasn't very good at holding pads, if I'm honest. So either way, that happens. And everyone in the stadium laughs. I'm kind of freaking out. And the promoter, he goes up and he's like, hey mate, right? That happens in training all the time. And I'm like, no, it doesn't, man. But whatever. And then and again, everyone laughs. It's hilarious for them. It's terrifying for me. The next thing there is that there's this other guy that I do pad work with. It wasn't pad work, it was clinch work. And but the thing is, I don't actually know the rules for Muay Thai, except I know judo throws and I understand MMA. So what I do is that I do a hip throw called ogoshi. I do it relatively gently. And either way, I throw him to the ground, and then again, everyone in the stadium just begins laughing. And it's like, oh, what the fuck is going on? It's like this clueless white guy. What the fuck is he doing? So that happens. And either way, the time in the ring is up. I awkwardly camber out of it. I tip the guy who I give the concussion to. Like, I think I gave him like 500 baht. As you do when you give a guy a concussion, it's the polite thing to do, right? So I do that. I get out of the ring. I sit down in my leather booth, and I watch the first fight. And it's this 13-year-old girl versus this 12-year-old boy. They start things young in Thailand, and I noticed that the punches and the kicks, they're a little bit choreographed. Like they either have no idea what they're doing, or it's kind of like, not really well thought out. Or it is thought out, and it's like they're predictable punches. And then there's like a little thing in the middle where the guy sits down on a stool, and it's in like this drip tray, and his crew, who is his trainer, he's massaging his legs, and then he accidentally pulls him into the water, and again everyone laughs. I'm like, okay, something's up here. This doesn't seem quite right. But it's the next part where things step up a notch, and like I kind of understand what's going on. I think I'm watching the equivalent of WWE, like that fake wrestling thing. And either way, the next thing I know is I get brought down to the ring again, and there's these two blinded, like they've got like a thing around their head, like a scarf around their eyes, and they can't see anything, and they're blindfolded, and the promoter, he gives me these bells, and I have to get these two guys to fight each other. And it's great fun. I get them to hit each other, I get them to attack the referee, which was fun as well. But it's insane. I go from, imagine where my head's at. It's like, I accidentally gave a guy a concussion. I think I'm not really sure what's going on. I got a private leather booth. I wasn't expecting that. And then I'm performing slapstick comedy in front of 400 random Thai people. Imagine where my head is at as this is going on. Now, I have a whole heap of stories like that. The life I live when I can is one which is adventurous and fun and interesting. But the life that I have is not what I want. It's the result of abuse by other people. I have committed no crimes, and if I have committed a crime, I haven't been told what it is. I have people constantly inserting themselves into my life because I'm famous. I've had so much harassment from the police and authorities. I've worked in this system, the NDIS, where I'm constantly being exploited by really ruthless psychopaths. Really, I'm just trying to care for my participants. I have these issues where I've had a cult which I've had to leave. I've had harassment from the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community and them trying to play pranks on me. I've had the failure of our healthcare system, and the life I've wanted to live, I have not been able to live. And there's the harassment from my family on top of that. People, I think there's significant limitations to freedom. People say you can do whatever you want, you can be whoever you can be, but it's not just financial constraints which stop that, it's your associations with people and how those associations are. We are a hierarchical communal species. we live in society. And society is built up of people trying to put themselves in places of power and authority over other people to serve their egos. That's why I deal with all these issues with the abuses I receive. It's people trying to make me less so they can be more. And the incredible achievements I have need to be seen as something less than they are, or something that I haven't earned or deserve. But really it's just, I'm a very bright guy. I've deferred a large amount of my life. I wanted to certify as a psychologist and then potentially work overseas and work off the differences in currency values so I could live a good life in Indonesia or Thailand or someplace like that. And I've delayed a large amount of my life to get there. I haven't had a holiday in 3 years and I owe a lot of money. In that 3 years, I have just been dealing with the corruption in our healthcare system, and because I'm more intelligent than most of my colleagues, I'm able to identify it and know what's going on. It makes it very difficult when I have to explain these things to authorities, because you're having to deal with these 100 IQ geniuses who don't know shit about shit, and they end up going, oh, he's in bad situation, it must be because he's misbehaved or something. It's not that, gentlemen. The situation's quite complex. And that's where I'm at. I don't get to live the life I want. I constantly have to be made less and less so other people feel more. And that's why I've been enslaved on 2 different occasions. One time by signals, another time by a gentleman called Donald Mackerskill. When I realize something's fishy or something's not good, because Donald Mackerskill was a con man, and I try and get myself out of that situation, I'm then abused. And then there's the constant abuse by police throughout this thing, because it's an occupation where people who want to be able to inflict damage or harm on someone get an opportunity to do that, and they have some legitimacy as they do it. It's been heinous, and this is not the result of me misbehaving. This is the result of me being abused. So I'll have people coming into my house who know of me beforehand, and then I have to get rid of them. And the place where they put you in poverty and they make things terrible for you, and then what the actions you need to do to survive that are then used as justification for why you're there and why you need to be kept there. It's just bullying. It's just bullying. And if you've watched my story and you have any respect for police or authorities, you haven't been paying attention. Fuck the police. The executive side of our government has a lot to answer for. I was enslaved by signals. I fled a cult. I fled my family. I've been working in a very corrupt healthcare system, and I've served my community. I have done incredible work. It's time for me to get my rewards. Have a good day, everyone.